The arms up.
It's disappeared, by the way. Tom's belly has disappeared from last year to this year. 123 billionaires live in New York City right now.
Right, or whether it's the end goal of ceasing the means of production.
Okay, pause right there, Rob. Pause. In the means of production. So now, he is a communist. I don't think he's that big of a player, nor do I think CNBC wants a guy like this at the top. They don't want a communist. They don't want a guy like this to be in New York City while they're doing business out of there. That's my opinion.
Well, this is NBC. If this was CNBC and
right.
Joe Kernan, he would have torn his beard off.
It's still owned by the same company, NBC, right? So,
Mafia type guys, New York City type guys. In my humble opinion, I don't think New York City is going to go for this. And I think they're going to take care of this one way or another, if you know what I'm saying. The threat will be eliminated. There's a big portion of Gen Z that needs to go to American re-education camps.
Yeah, so look at this picture. I thought this was one of the dumbest, stupidest pictures to ever have. Did he have someone paint this? It's no way. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess someone had to paint it. Who painted it and why? This is such a dumb... Look at this painting. PBD has a painting of From Left to Right. Albert Einstein, John F. Kennedy. I guess that's Plato or Socrates up here in the top corner, or Aristotle, perhaps. Leonardo da Vinci, some shit. We got another one over here in the right corner. Let's just, I don't know, Pontius Pilate or some damn body. Abraham Lincoln, Tupac Shakur, which he is hugged up beside. Patrick Bet David and Tupac Shakur. In what world? Mario Andretti, the guy he's talking about, whoever in the hell he is. And then Martin Luther King Jr. talking to Rupert Murdoch. I guess he's talking to the room, but he's sitting beside Martin Luther King and billionaire Rupert Murdoch. Huh? Einstein and JFK. PBD and Tupac. Mario Andretti and Abraham Lincoln. You know, this is indicative of how this episode is going to go that we review. And just like that, we back, man. What's going on, everybody? Y'all good out there? I hope everybody doing fine. As for me, myself, and I can't complain. If I did, no one would want to hear it. Anyways, you dig what I'm saying. As I always say, if you like what I'm doing over here on the page, like and subscribe to the content, give me an algorithm, and we will go accordingly. As I always say. Now, we are back for another discussion, man. Today, we're going to talk about a podcast that I see a hilarious amount of material come from, you know what I'm saying? But they seem to get caught up in the, I don't know, in just the actions of my everyday and then other things that I prioritize making shows about over on my other page. And, you know what I'm saying, I don't get back to this page as much as I would like to. But the more I see material from these guys, the more it tells me, hey, man, this is be a steady stream of material to critique. Because these are some of the much-brained popular podcasts online, bro. And it's just so when you look at the numbers that they get, man, it's like, wow, bro. It's that many dumb people. But you know, as you run through life and meet people and interact with people like you know, these days it's glaringly obvious that, yeah, man, there's a lot of people that tune in to these particular people for their knowledge of the world. And you will come to find out in the very first beginnings of the video we go into, you're going to hear them say something, and I'm going to come in and chime. And it's like, well, I be damned. Not only do they not know what's going on, they've been put into a corner and they just megaphones for bullshit, but you have millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people that tune in to these people and swear by them. It's the craziest thing, man. But one Patrick Bet David, of PBD podcast fame. This the wildest little network, bro. You got Vinny over there. Here lately, they started a new show called Her Take. Have you ever heard a more cheesy, generic name, Her Take? 4 women on the panel, Her Take. I mean, damn, bro. Like, I guess they were trying to rival The View, so I guess, like, okay, The View, and then Her Take. Like, oh, we were right in line. It's so lame, bro. What in the hell? But it's Anna Kasparian, Lindy Lee. Lindy Lee is like a, oh my God, is she not a light bulb, bro? Oh, it's bananas. Jillian Michaels, the prototypical British girl, and I think from time to time they have, matter of fact, they had Rico Suave from the Patrick Bet-David podcast. They had him on Her Take here about maybe, I guess, a month ago. And apparently this was probably all scripted. But this man actually, listen, it's not one thing that he threw the item during the interview. I guess, though, if it's scripted, then it doesn't really hit as hard. But still, even though, this man actually grabbed a tampon. Like, as a male, I don't think you ever... What is a situation where you actually handle a actual tampon? You know what I'm saying? Like... Even if you handing one to your wife or maybe your daughter, it's like you're handed by the box. You don't even go, I don't even know, bro. It don't seem like no situation where you handle a tampon as a man. This man handled one, put it in the lapel pocket of his coat, and he threw it out at an opportune time while having an argument with Anna Kasparian. One Anna Kasparian, if I may add, has seemed to have... pivoted her stance on this whole, hey, you can't be mean to the people on the right if you want to sway their votes and mold their minds into something more evolved and higher thinking, more critically thinking. You can't call them chuds and things like that, And then Jank picked up the mantle, and they have been falling precipitously in viewership and popularity since then. Well, Anna seems to have gone back on those words. She's like, I'm over it. I'm over trying to act like these people, have any decency within their character. We see how they flip-flop. First, Trump was the no war president, and then now we go into some war activities, and not everybody. It was a big split in them, but you saw a lot of the sycophants all of a sudden start to make excuses why he's the greatest president ever, in being and what he did, and just like bypassing all the standards and precautions and the guidelines and the quality control that we have in place about those things, much less the argument from the American people about whether or not we need to be involved in some conflict that Israel has going on. Because the last time we went down that path, we were in a 20-year war based off of the intel from one Benjamin Netanyahu and Iran and all these people and what kind of weapons of mass destruction they supposedly had. And they went on television having various conferences and shows, you dig what I'm saying, trying to sell that war to the American people, and we were there for 20 years, and I don't think we found a weapon of mass destruction yet. So now we're over there based off of apparently Netanyahu's intel that Iran was a month away from being able to establish a full-on nuclear bomb. Now, you had politicians, Tulsi Gabbard included. She's the head of national security. You dig what I'm saying? She came out and said not too long ago that there was no evidence of Iran being that close to nuclear capabilities. But yet and though, here we are. So, like I say, Anna kind of went back and forth, and I kind of went down a rabbit hole about a couple of things that just transpired here lately. But she's not in agreement with what's going on right now. But like I said, they try to make excuses for the war starting and everything that's going down in America right now. They've got some kind of excuse for it. You dig what I'm saying? But these fellas right here, man, I thought this was an interesting show of cards. You dig what I'm saying? There's a lot of the chaos and confusion, I guess that's what you want to call it, over one Zoran Mamdani, fellow that won the nomination as the nominee to become New York's next mayor. Now the full-on, this was basically like the primary little deal. The full-on election hadn't went down, but oh my God. OMG are the letters. Man, the way these folks came up out of their socks, bro, about this man winning this nomination, again, it's just a show of cards. And I just look around at all the people involved in that side of the fence when it comes to political parties. And I'm just like, what does it take? Are you ashamed to admit that? Because it's just like, and and this guy PBD is from Iran. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way that he is such a white man in his brain, bro, it is completely ridiculous. I don't think PBD understands that they don't view him any different than, say, Vivek Ramaswamy. You dig what I'm saying? Like, what is wrong with him, man? He gets on TV and on his show with the stupidest takes. And again, when we get into this video, I'm going to stop it at a quick point into it. And it's going to point out why these three stooges, and I guess four, you can see why they get on here just talking crazy. And, when people come armed with facts, that they just pivot or quickly jump to something else. And so let's get into this video, man. They're talking about Mr. Mamdani. And, away we go.
I'm a little excited. I miss you guys, man. You guys, you're out there having vacation. I'm in the studio by myself.
You're not by yourself. You got Tom right behind you as a statue with
Tom's
Rocky.
over there. Rocky's
look,
over
say
there.
hi to Tom's belly
And you
real
got
quick.
McAllen.
Tom's on the left with the arms up.
It's disappeared, by the way. Tom's belly has disappeared from last year to this year. It's no longer the same. All right, let's go to the next
Pat,
story.
you got a
we're just trying to
Kendall
say you want to
thing
get through a
going
lot
on
of
there,
stories and everything. I finished my second cup of coffee. Any more espresso?
By the way, check this out. While we're going through this, I want to go through this socialist, Democrat, whatever you want to call it, in New York, and we're going to get to that. Forgive, I was reading the teleprompter, and I totally screwed it up. But you guys don't see this. We have like 17 teleprompters here.
There's a
Everything
lot.
we're saying is scripted. It's all just been written here.
Never off the
Can
cuff.
you guys-
And there was the part that I needed to stop it real quick. You heard them say, 17 teleprompters, very high level of production on this here PBD podcast. Everything we do here is scripted. You hear Vinny say, never off the cuff. So you say, damn, when you can look at the PBD show, I mean on a daily basis, right? On a daily basis, you can watch this material and pick out, various inconsistencies with the actual facts surrounding whatever they're talking about. Anytime a guest comes on, PBD gets slaughtered. Vinny gets slaughtered. Adam gets slaughtered. Tom is always asleep. Tom is supposed to be like the resident expert. And you can tell that Tom comes locked and loaded thinking he got like killer stories. In fact, there's going to be PBD is a shine taker. Like, PBD has got to be one of the worst people to work for. But I'm sure that they love the glitz and the glam, and I'm sure it's a good paycheck that comes with it. But it's like they never challenge PBD, and he be trying to pull their card like he's some kind of smart, intelligent individual. No, he's just like a scam and insurance guy, what have you, or something like that. Pyramid scheme, dude. You dig what I'm saying? But they never challenge. But there's a part in this video where Tom makes a point, and then PBD tries to jump on top of him, and I don't know, maybe he thought Tom was lying, but he ended up reading exactly what Tom said. So it's like, why did you try to check me then, bro? Why ain't you just let me shine? But I ain't giving Tom no shine either way it go. Tom is he an old guy. You want to respect your elders, but to hell with Tom. So I need to stop it right there just to say, so you hear the foolery coming out of their mouth, right? And you consider the fact that everything is scripted. Now, do you think that any of those three guys sitting right there, or Adam, who is not in the studio, do you think any of those four guys write the material? So if they don't write the material, and it's all prepared, you just got a writer's room of people that just write right wing sheets of material, come up with what they want to say. And you just read it. You don't really have a take. You don't have a stance. You have a part to play. You have a character. That's what they just said. Never off the cuff. So you write what is on the teleprompter. You know, that was a tell for me. That was a and they tried to act like it was their own, like, oh yeah, never off the cuff. We don't speak straight from our brain. We read off a teleprompter. About political takes, I don't know that that's a crazy deal, bro. Like, for something that's up front and emotional and visceral, I should say, as politics and how you feel about them. You shouldn't need a script. You shouldn't need a teleprompter. But how could you have a teleprompter and still be so utterly stupid? Do the writers have it out for them? Like, it's crazy for them to say that, and we watch what they do every day. Like, people are actually writing this. Or, I guess, maybe they write semi-intelligent things, but the minute one of these people go off of the teleprompter and put forth the thought that's in their actual brain, that's when you're like, oh my God, what are they talking about? That's crazy. Let's keep going, man.
Fix the typing, Rob. It's a little bit off.
Malik
I can't see the
Andres
font.
are there,
We got all this stuff at CNN at their garage sale.
It's a low blow, Tom.
But in the middle of it, you know what I love, Vinny? I love it when we have people that are watching the podcast that are future leaders. Okay, somebody just tweeted this literally right now. I want to give this kid a shout out. I said, smart kid, future leader, Andrew Glonta. Teach him young. Okay, look what he's doing right there. He has his son watching a podcast. That's a good daddy. Andrew. There you go, buddy boy. Can we go on his face so we can give a shout out to Andrew real quick?
Hey, you know, peace and love, happiness, and bright futures to that kid. We have no hate for the little baby. But there's absolutely no reason to raise your child watching the likes of the Patrick Bet David podcast. Having him or her in tune to politics and the world stage and, you know, global economics, things of the sort. I ain't holding you, my nigga. But I would not sit my child down in front of. Imagine your child watching Vinny literally blow a vein in his head every day and thinking that's normal. It's normal to blow a vein. Hey, it's crazy. You know, this kind of remind me. I heard a guy on because I tune in to this little radio station a lot. It's like a right ringery joint, the one that Russ Limbaugh used to be on. And I heard a cat say, yeah, man, when I was a kid, my dad used to ride around and we was listening to Russ Limbaugh. And I thought then, that's a horrible childhood. But I guess this is like the new age Russ Limbaugh. You dig what I'm saying? Just the, Sean Hannity types. Written information. Just a megaphone for talking points. No room for really critical thinking. You've got too much information to absorb and read off of these teleprompters, man. But yeah, like I said, shout out to the kid. Horrible parenting on that particular angle.
That's a double whammy.
Damn.
New York, folks. This guy, Mamdani, beats Andrew Yang. Then bunch of videos are coming out. Rob, can you go to the other one first if you don't mind? The other one is if you Andrew Cuomo, not Andrew Yang, but him as well. But Andrew Cuomo beat him too. He's being interviewed here and asked if he believes billionaires should exist. Okay, I want you to listen to his answer, Rob. If you can do it on Twitter, so we can. Where did you go to, Rob? You went to a completely different place.
Yeah, I have a different clip of him.
Just go to my Twitter account, Rob. Just go to my Twitter account. It's two videos that I have there. That's what I'm saying. If you just go there, you'll find it.
It's like last night, right?
Yeah, he's being interviewed and he's being asked about billionaires. Should billionaires exist? This is his response. And I actually want to go to the comment section because I want to know how the audience reacts to it. Some are critical, some are supportive. Go for it, Rob.
You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. And I look forward to work with everyone, including billionaires, to make a city that is
Can
fair
you
for
imagine?
all of them.
Hey, billionaires, I look forward to working with you to take your billions away from you and give it to the working people, the poor. And guess what? I think you want to work with me. By the way, here's a kicker. You ready for this? Do you know what city in America has the most billionaires? The city he's about to be mayor in. Type in, Rob, which city in America has the most billionaires? 123 billionaires live in New York City right now.
Yeah.
And he wants to say, I don't believe. So you know what he's trying to say is, I don't believe billionaires should live in New York City. That's the interpretation. Look at that.
Again, the minute they open their mouths and go off script, it's just like it's watching a train wreck. You can't turn away. It's a tragedy about to happen. People are going to be hurt, maimed, killed. But you cannot take your eyes off it. It's just must-watch material.
A couple years ago, I got too big for a shower, and I fell. And it took hours to get me out. It was absolutely terrifying.
Why would these billionaires want this guy to be the mayor? There's so many things that could be read out of that statement. Number one, it could be that billionaires, the ones we see on television, you dig what I'm saying, the Elon Musk, the Mark Andreesses, the Peter Thiels, they don't seem apologetic. They don't seem to, and I'm not suggesting that they should have any shame, but there's some billionaires out there, a Bill Gates, for example, they're philanthropic efforts, you know what I'm saying, kind of speaks to, how they feel about their money, you know what I'm saying, and how they wish for it to be dispersed around, and, they may not feel as good about themselves being a billionaire and hoarding money with the things that you see going on in America and throughout the world. But I ain't gonna hold you, my nigga. Like, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? They love to throw these labels around, socialist, communist, Marxist, neo, all this bullshit. I don't subscribe. I don't have a problem with a guy having $1 billion. Now, if it's exposed that he got his $1 billion through some underhanded efforts, through some depriving of some communities and shit, then we on his ass. Get him out of here. Yes, get the money back. Everybody get their lick back. But if you happen upon a product or a company that is worth $1 billion to the consumers out here, like a Jeff Bezos, I don't have a problem with you becoming a billionaire by selling your products. Robin Fenty, formerly known as Rihanna, she's a billionaire through, her musical efforts, and I think more so her Fenty fashion and I think makeup line. You dig what I'm saying? Plenty of name that are billionaires. So I don't think, I don't really have a problem with that. The Mark Cubans of the world or not. I don't have a problem with that. Is Mark Cuban a billionaire? Mark Cuban a billionaire, right? But anyways, you get my point what I'm saying. So, but I don't think that, when he says he don't think we should have billionaires, I think that's really like a silly statement. And if you think about it, if you apply critical thinking, like if you're suggesting that there would be a cap at how much money, how could you even put a cap at how much money someone could make? So you create a company, right? Let's say the cap is $750 million. I create a company, right? And we look up 5 years down the road. What do you do? Once my company's worth $750 million, what, now I got to stop selling goods or I got to start giving them away? That's not even feasible. It's not even, no one's going to go for that. What, you going to tell me I can only have $750 million in the bank? Well, then now you've got to regulate every bank to go along with that. So, when people take that and run with it, man, Sam Cedar was on the PBD podcast. Another one of these moments that I mentioned when I say anytime someone comes onto that podcast armed with the facts that can actually speak from their brain without a teleprompter, they destroy everything PBD and the rest of the gang has coming out of their mouth. You dig what I'm saying? And so Sam Cedar was on record on the show and is on the record on his show. He damn near said anytime you ask him, he is forthright in his exclamation that he does not think billionaires should exist, right? You didn't see PBD talk all crazy about him and call him a communist, and you know what I'm saying? He did. Why didn't he do Sam the same way? I think it's just because this Zoran guy is a Muslim, and the events of 9/11. Well, we'll let them kind of get into that because. Oh well, I'll touch on it. When he won this nomination, you had people like Marjorie Taylor Greene flashing pictures of the Statue of Liberty and a burqa. You had all the talking heads, the Charlie Kirks and all of this. They went crazy about the way that the man eats. And I saw that clip of him eating with his hands on camera. It was a bit uncouth. I'll say that. It was a bit uncouth, but it wasn't anything that I would make a whole show about. Like, man, you seen this man eat some rice with his hands, bro, and it dripped off his hands some. It looked nasty. I wouldn't make a whole show about that. Like, I would laugh at it like, bro, it was a little uncouth. You dig what I'm saying? I might make a America joke. Like, we don't eat like that in America unless it's a burgers and pizza, but it's nothing that I would judge this man's entire character off of. Now, in their opinion of it, this is just further evidence of him being a jihadist. This is really one of the 9/11 guys. Look at the way he eat with his hands. This is indicative of him being back at the ISIS training camp. This is basically what they saying. PBD said the interpretation of what this man says is that he doesn't want billionaires to live in New York. How did he correlate? The man said, I don't think we should have billionaires. How did he correlate that with this man said, hey, all billionaires get the hell out of New York? But again, when they open their mouth, that's when you get the understanding of who the people are on this podcast.
Forbes 2025 ranking, New York City, 123 billionaires. How are these billionaires okay with this guy becoming a mayor of the city? Go a little bit lower, Rob, if you could. Watch this one here. LA's got 53. San Fran's got 50 to 82 because some of the guys left. But look at that number right there, 123. Then there's another video that he's been interviewed where he uses a very, very interesting phrase because the president doesn't call him a socialist. The president calls him a communist. And after you see this, you'll see why that is. Rob, play that clip if you could. And again, I want to go on the Twitter side because we can watch the comments as well afterwards. Rob, go for it. Go for it. Yeah.
This is about this entire project.
Listen to the phrase.
It's not simply to raise class consciousness, but to win socialism. And obviously, raising class consciousness is a critical part of that. But making sure that we have candidates that both understand that and are willing to put that forward at every which moment that they have, at every which opportunity that they're given. Yep. We have to continue to elect more socialists, and we have to ensure that we are unapologetic about our socialism. There are also other issues that we firmly believe in.
It's coming.
Whether it's BDS, right? Or whether it's the end goal of ceasing the means of production.
Okay, pause right there, Rob. Go back a little bit more. Go back a little bit. Okay, with the smile on his face, the end goal.
Smile on his
face. Press it. Do it again.
The end goal of ceasing the means of production.
Okay, go back one more time, folks, because we're going to go and say what famous author used that phrase. Don't say anything. Okay. Just we want to go through and say it one more time, Rob. Pay attention, folks. Go ahead.
Goal of ceasing the means of production.
What does he say? What's the line?
Means in production?
Seize the means of production.
These are such fools, bro. I cannot, man. It's man, the people that tune in to this shit daily for brain food, bro. What does it say about you? People that turn, Brandon Tatum's and the Hodge twins and the Cat Turds and the Jack Posobics, Charlie Kirk. What does it say about you? My God. So, he plays the clip of Mamdani. I won't even hold him. I ain't even going to hold him about the terms he uses. Because if you have some education about yourself, or just a damn Grok app, or ChatGPT or Google. If you have any of the three, you have no excuse to not really understand what these terms mean. Now, they throw the term socialist around because it's so associated with, socialists and communists. It's associated with Hitler and the Nazis. And they did such atrocious things that, when you throw around a word that was associated with them, it's immediately supposed to make people draw back. But again, if you look into it, when he says they need to elect more socialists, he's meaning, and with his stances on billionaires and hoarding wealth, and then, you know, a lot of things come with the guy being a billionaire. His businesses take up a lot of space. He's got a lot of influence, and you know, I don't know that his billion takes away from the governmental funds or the well-being of others. But you've got things that got to do with, them getting subsidies and things, and contracts, and maybe this guy, this community not getting it. So it's a trickle-down thing when it comes to that. But he's saying that he would like the country to elect more people that have the interest of the entire group, the entire population, the people of their community, their city, their states. He would like to see more people like that put into place. Not a team of individuals that's going to go across the country looking at that list of 123 billionaires and suing them, auditing them, and taking away half of their wealth so that they can send a check of $5,000 to everybody until it run out. No, bro. No one would go for that. I don't even think the people that they call hard left or Democrats, I call myself just an intelligent goddamn political observer. You dig what I'm saying? And I understand what group to put my vote into, bro. Like, I don't subscribe to any of the words because I get on any of them ass. You know what I'm saying? I don't really make enough shows here, and honestly, people on the left and the Democrat side don't really make a fool of themselves near enough to make viable material off of them. So don't come here thinking that I'm just some big time lefty Democrat or what have you. I make videos about shit I think is funny that I can make fun of. You know what I'm saying? And into these politics, you know what I'm saying, especially these PBDs, they've got a lot of stupid characters, a lot of grifters, you know what I'm saying? So it's easy material. So, I'm not an advocate or trying to, tell you who to vote for, but I'm giving you a better explanation than these just grifting podcasts that just want you to believe a certain thing. I'm just saying, hey, bro, they full of shit. They bullshitting what they selling. It's more to look into. So they try to associate these terms with Cuz and his stances on billionaires and wanting more like-minded individuals in government that, like I say, have the mass interest in mind. You know what I'm saying? But he keeps harking on the fact that he did it with a smile on his face. Like, they trying to demonize. They basically call this man, a part of ISIS, man. It's so crazy, but that's where we are, and we about to keep going now. But I had to jump in there and just kind of make that distinction that he's ultimately trying to make this man out of some just nefarious character. And I'm going to stop it here again in a minute because you're going to see one of the instances where when faced with alternate material and alternate facts, I guess I should say, you'll see how quickly PBD, they just glaze on over it. So let's go.
Okay.
Gosh,
okay.
Where did I read that?
By the way, first of all, he must have done this podcast on Christmas because that's an ugly sweater he's wearing. But if you go on ChatGPT,
ugly sweater.
Type in what author or which economist used the phrase "and the means of production." Okay, which economist used the phrase "and the means of production"? Okay. And the means of production, seizing production, famously comes from who? Karl Marx.
Karl Marx.
19th century German philosopher economist who famously associated with the phrase, the proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a world to win. Workers of the world unite. The abolition of private property in the means of production, right? In the means of production. So now, he is a communist.
And so now he's a communist. Fucking PBD, bro. Now, you saw him type into his, I guess this is apparently his VT News AI. He's got his own AI deal. I think that may have been an episode I was watching from a little while ago. So I don't know. I think he said ChatGPT because apparently VT News AI was full of shit. Just something that they putting all of their little talking points into. You dig what I'm saying? But as you can see, as I pulled up here again, let's start from the top because you'll see a glaring omission from a one Patrick Bet-David. Patrick Bet-David. Bet-David. That's his new name. Patrick Bet-David. Okay. Karl Marx, the 19th century German philosopher and economist, is most famously associated with the phrase, "The proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a world to win. Workers of the world, unite." In his works, especially the Communist Manifesto, Marx advocated for the abolition of private property and the means of production. PBD stops there and goes on to say, okay, so now he's a communist, speaking about Mamdani. What he failed to read was this bottom part. He did not say in the means of production, because in Marx's theory, the means of production, factories, land, tools, etc., are essential. What Marx wanted was to end private ownership of them, transferring control to the workers of the state. Now, that's a far cry. When you explain the whole the full concept, you dig what I'm saying? The things vital to the community, the things that make the whole go forward, that push mankind forward, and evolves our minds, nourishes our bodies, feeds our communities, builds the nation. There's a certain conflict in that being in the hands of private contractors and owners and what have you, because their business interests often come into conflict with what's best for the gander. You dig what I'm saying? That's what he's saying. Again, I don't think there's anybody out there that would go for the dismantling of a billionaire and his funds. You know what I'm saying? I think what they're ultimately saying is there should be something in place to incentivize. Or I think, in my mind, this would be the type of plan. There should be something in place to incentivize billionaires to give back more. I don't necessarily want to say have to give back more. But from what I understand, the higher you go up the ladder, the less taxes you pay, which I fail to really go deep down that rabbit hole and understand. But again, PBD omitted that last paragraph, and it's just indicative of how they rock on this show. You dig what I'm saying?
So this guy wants to go in that direction, and then President Trump responds to it, I believe, this morning. Rob, if you have that clip when he responds to it. And then, Tom, I'm going to come to you first. We're going to save our economist, Vinny, at the end, but we're going to come, Tom, I'm going to come to you first. I'm going to go from the lowest to the go ahead, Rob, play this clip.
Terrible. He's a communist. The last thing we need is a communist. I said there will never be socialism in the United States. Now we have a communist. I think he's bad news, and I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with him, watching him, because he has to come right to this building to get his money. And don't worry, he's not going to run away with anything. I think he's frankly, I've heard he's a total nut job. I think the people of New York are crazy. If they go this route, I think they're crazy. We will have a communist for the first time, really, a pure, true communist. He wants to operate the grocery stores, the department stores. What about the people that are there? I think it's great.
So there's a couple things here. First of all, we need to take a close look at NBC because sometimes things are hiding in plain sight. So Christian Welker says, do you think billionaires should exist?
Whoa, Tom coming in hot as always, lukewarm face ass. But he is the elder, so I won't give him the punchable face. I won't put him on the list. You know what I'm saying? Because he's over, I don't know, Tom probably 85 or something. I don't know. But Tom say he wants to take a look at NBC. We'll see what Tom got to say in a minute. PBD, again, goes to the communist moniker and what direction this guy wants to go. Why would the billionaires want this guy to be around? And you hear Donald Trump and his remarks, and he's a communist, he's a bad guy. I hear that he's a total nut job. Now, it would beg the question that if this guy was such a bad guy and just, so bad for New York, such a bad idea for the direction of the country, it's not like he just popped out of the woodworks and decided to run. This man has been around for years. The Vanguard podcast, I was watching the other day, and they flashed a bit of an interview that they had with him. Actually, I think that may have been on the Vanguard podcast. Actually, when he had that little sweater on, that blue screen, I think that may have been on the Vanguard. That was 4 years ago. You hadn't heard any of these people, the Charlie Kirks, the PBDs, the Donald Trumps. You hadn't heard any of these people have a problem with this man. Were they asleep at the wheel? Or are they just attacking this man because they racist? Because he's a Muslim? You dig what I'm saying? Or I guess he's a Muslim and a socialist. He's like Hitler. I guess he all of this wrapped into one. That's why Trump said he's a bad guy. He's a nut job. He is all over the spectrum. Apparently, let them tell it. But this man has been in politics for years. We've heard no red flags being raised about this man, but all of a sudden they've got all this research and all of this in-depth analysis on who the man is. And I grant anyone out here to pick out anything other than it just being blatant racism that this man is a Muslim, and they just the idea they already hate Ilhan Omar and AOC, anybody ethnic, and the thought of a Muslim leading New York of all places, even though the people voted for this man. Let's keep that understood. He didn't steal this election. They voted for this man, knowing full well who he is. They've been listening to him all of these years. They know what he's talking about, but let them tell it. And he a communist. He's a madman. He eat with his hands. Crazy.
In an inspection of a candidate, is that the kind of question that you would expect? So the first problem I have is with Kristen Welker. And so she is just throwing him the softball that they gave. The campaign, that is a campaign question. So the campaign says, hey, we will go on your show. We will give you the ratings. You'll be able to say, and we've got Zorhan.
I don't know if I agree with that.
No.
Push back, Tom.
No, I'm going to push back hard because the campaign gives questions to the media, and then the media chooses whether to be an inspector or a reciter.
Yeah.
And the media is not inspecting him. They're just saying, do you think billionaires should exist? So you give them the question. However, the second problem...
Absolute another banger from Tom. Keep in mind that phrase. I like that phrase. When information is brought to you, you can either choose to be an inspector or a reciter. Note that while Tom is saying that he's glancing back at the teleprompter that he has to recite.
Here is you have to look in plain sight as to who voted for him in the play. He's not mayor yet. We're about to see a very, very, very ugly campaign where all of these bad sweater videos and everything he said that are about to come out as the more centrist left is going to be on display, trying to defeat him. But let's look at what happened. You have a young generation of very recent college graduates that overwhelmingly voted for him across three axes. Axis number one, how the hell am I going to pay off all the student loan debt? Never mind that you've willingly went and got it for your degree. Number two, wow, when am I going to be able to afford housing? And number three, therefore, life in general is pretty damn overwhelming and expensive. Yep. And those people found, you listen to him, he's a skillful communicator, and how he answered that to Kristen Welker with a soft voice and an empathetic tone. That's a gifted communicator. So in plain sight, you need to see that we have a lot of people in this country that just got out with student loan debt, looking at the price of housing, looking at the cost of living, and they were ripe to be harvested by this kind of a message, but they don't know what they're buying. Right.
Ever since hearing that scripted statement and just watching the eyes of them as they talk now, bro, I cannot, I don't even know if I'm going to keep making material based off these, because they are obviously some fakers. They don't know what they're buying. That was obviously like the last letter on the teleprompter and had like 3 exclamation points behind it. You know what I mean? Like, it's so fake, bro. And in what world with 3-4 fellas that, from what I understand, do not currently reside in the state of New York, how is it possible that they have a better grip on a guy that they hadn't reported on before 3 days ago? How is it that Tom and the PBD broadcast and the writer's room over at the PBD broadcast, how is it that they have more inside information and more hands-on experience and local commercials and knowing what's going on in the local government? How is it that they have a better grip on that than the people of New York that actually voted for this man? They always jump out. You live across the United States, but they can tell people what life in California is like. The people that actually live there, they can tell them, no, you live in the shithole state. And people like, no, it ain't. You know what I'm saying? We're not fleeing California, bro. It ain't like what? No, you don't. You're not watching the right. Like, I'm in the state, bro. Like, the street you're talking about, like, I just rolled down that street. No, you didn't go down to the left and turn right one time. Like, oh my God, bro. But the people of New York doesn't know what they buying. Let Tom tell it.
Rob, can you go to the video where he answers she's asked the question, do you believe billionaires should exist? Just go on the Twitter so we can see the comment section. Just go to my profile right there. Okay, if you go a little bit lower, one more. Okay, pose the question and look at his instant reaction. This guy had no clue that question was going to be asked. Watch his instant reaction. He doesn't want that question. My opinion, Tom. Go for it.
Described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly,
by the way, Tom, the reason why I don't think that's the case with that question is because that's exactly the question they don't want him to be asked.
Man, when a dude like Patrick Bet-David, you know, he always thinks this way. But when Patrick Bet-David is regarded as the smartest person in the room, bro, we got some problems. Patrick Bet-David interpretation of what my man's facial features and body gestations. What they said was that he was uncomfortable with the question being asked. That's the question that the campaign doesn't want him to be asked. Tom had a problem that she asked him. PBD said, I think he has a problem that he was asked. Now, in the world of politics, I mean, in the world of entertainment, period, bro, if you got something hot with your name, that's the question they're going to ask you because that's what's going to get clicks and people coming to watch and see what happened on you. In what political world would he gone on any interview in and around the time when he made that comment? Would he go on and they not ask him that question? PBD, he was totally unprepared. They don't want him to have to address that. That man, he let out a little laugh. I didn't see him stutter or look any kind of way or bat no eyelashes. He didn't give any tails. And he went on to explain what he said, just like what he said in front of the Vanguard, if I'm correct about where that interview came from. But PBD, let PBD tell it. It's so crazy, bro. When Trump does things, or whoever, regardless of what's staring them in the face, they will say, nah, this is what he really meant. This is what he really was saying. No, this is the interpretation. I've never seen, boy, the Dunning-Kruger. You dig what I'm saying? It is alive and well, bro. Like, low information and high confidence, bro, is a bad ratio to have within your being.
And I think she actually asked the right questions. Sometimes the best questions in an interview are the simplest questions. You don't need to complicate a question. You may be right that they've sent the campaign. I don't think he's that big of a player, nor do I think CNBC wants a guy like this at the top. They don't want a communist. They don't want a guy like this to be in New York City while they're doing business out of there. That's my opinion.
Well, this is NBC.
Wrong.
If this was CNBC and Joe Kernan, he would have torn his beard off.
It's still owned by the same company, NBC, right? So
Tom, resident bringer of knowledge, had no idea that CNBC was owned by NBC.
This leads to the next thing where Bill Ackman promises to fund centrist, and Adam, I'm coming to you, candidate to defeat socialist Mamdani in New York City mayoral race. Ackman, who's a $10 billion guy, announces intent to fund a centrist candidate, challenge him, Mamdani, to presumptive Democratic nominee and a Democratic socialist in New York City mayoral race. Who's your best centrist candidate who would go toe-to-toe with Mamdani in the campaign trail? And on the debate stage, let's crowdsource the names and then do a poll. And if someone is ready to raise their hand, I will take care of the fundraising. Mamdani, also a member of the Democratic Socialists of America and the Working Family Party, defeated former Governor Andrew Cuomo. So now you're getting guys like Bill Ackman getting involved who are not wanting this. Adam, your thoughts on this?
Let's take a collective a gathering moment before we let Adam come in, because Adam may well be going to prison after what he said right here in his clip. So we just let's gather ourselves before we let Adam the Enlightened, you dig what I'm saying, come Guido, man, or whatever. Is that a bad word to use against it? Ain't no bad words these days, so whatever. Patrick Bet-David, with again his, the people that they tout as the end all be alls. So despite millions of individuals voting for this man in the primary that actually live in New York and know what's going on, they know his track record, they know what he actually does. Despite them voting for him, and he won from what I understand like 100,000 votes, which is significant in the state election. Apparently, Bill Ackman is the go-to. Well, Bill Ackman said, put up one candidate against Mamdani. Now, never mind the fact, you do understand that he beat a couple of people in this election. I don't think it was just Cuomo, right? It was also Eric Adams. They're going to get to talking about him. But let Bill Ackman tell it, hey, if you line him up 1v1 against one of these people, he will lose, for sure. And Patrick Bet-David, that's enough for me. Bill Ackman said he'll lose, he's going to ultimately lose. So screw what the millions of people that voted for him and are already saying and see what's in the community. Screw what they talking about. Although I'm not a resident of New York, I'm telling the people of New York of what's going to happen with them and what's really, it is the craziest, bro.
There's so much to unpack here with this guy. And this is a story that is not going to be going away until the election actually happens in November. So it's like, what do you get when you mix AOC and jihad? You get Zoran Mamdani. So in my opinion, PBD, you've interviewed how many mafia type guys, New York City type guys? In my humble opinion, I don't think New York City is going to go for this. And I think they're going to take care of this one way or another, if you know what I'm saying. The threat will be eliminated.
Oh, wow. Wait a minute. Oh, hold the phone. Are you implying that the mafioso characters, the descendants of John Gotti and Al Capone type, well, Al Capone, Chicago, the descendants of John Gotti's, Sammy the Bull and them, are you, because I've never seen any of these guys be in government and pass any bills or get any laws. You dig what I'm saying? I've seen them burn things down. And murder people and extort people, intimidate people. So are you suggesting that the big tough pasta eating guys of New York City that apparently were asleep when the vote, none of these people voted, none of them have a good outlook of Mr. Zoran, right? Are you implying that these people are they going to impart some violence upon that man to keep him from being mayor of the city? Is that what you're saying, Adam? Do we need to call the FBI's? Because, you get to putting numbers together out here in certain numbers. Oh, you trying to assassinate somebody. Come get him. FBI investigating. Well, Sal, what you talking about, Adam?
That is my humble opinion. I do not see this guy ended up winning.
He's not going to win. I just want to qualify, because when you say stuff like that, we are running a live interpretation. Adam, can you clarify what you really didn't mean?
I'm saying that I don't think that the establishment is going to let this guy win.
That's right.
We're talking about Bill Ackman right now, and how he's going to basically say, I'm here, I have your back, I'm to the rescue. Give me your best centrist candidate, and quote unquote, I will take care of the fundraising. I will take care of the rest. So what's happening with this guy is this is the perfect foil to whatever Donald Trump stands for. This is American capitalism versus global socialism, jihadism. And you notice that he keeps saying, oh, he's a communist. He's a communist. So, and by the way, let's just not gloss over what he said in that quote. He says, we're going to hear and bring socialism, whether you believe in BDS, aka killing all the Jews, or seizing the means of production. Shout out to Karl Marx.
Here again, buzzwords and aka kill all the Jews. But again, if you have Grok, ChatGPT, or your random Google, if you got a Microsoft computer with Microsoft 365, you have an application called Copilot. Any of these four, and I'm sure countless other things, but these four for sure. What I said into my Grok, shout out Elon Musk for Grok. I love Grok. Conservative MAGAs hate Grok. They will argue with a computer aggregator of knowledge. Grok is, man, I've never seen people like this, bro. I don't think they're going to last long. You can't, it's not sustainable. But let me read to you what BDS actually stands for, right? All right. I asked my Grok, I said, when Zoran Mamdani says BDS, what does he mean? When Zoran Mamdani refers to BDS, he is likely referring to the boycott, divestment sanctions movement, a Palestinian-led initiative launched in 2005 by 170 Palestinian civil society organizations. BDS aims to apply nonviolent pressure on Israel to comply with international law by ending its occupation and colonization of Palestinian territories, ensuring equality for Arab Palestinian citizens of Israel, and respecting the rights of Palestinian refugees to return to their homes as per UN Resolution 194. Now, there's a lot going on as far as Israel and Hamas and that whole territory. It's a whole battle, years long, wrapped around who feels like they have a right to this holy land, and depending on how you feel about, I guess the Bible or the Quran, if you give either one of them valid weight, then you can have a dog in the fight. But I don't know that I could call a winner in any one of those, because neither one of them know that they're right. They just believe that they are, and so that battle for that land is probably going to go on forever. That's why Israel is trying to wipe them off the map now, so they can just have that whole little strip, because the strip of land that they don't currently occupy, it's just like, bro, you could just see when they got to the height of that movement and got as much back, and they could back them people into a corner. It's just like, all right, we'll let you have this little strip on the water, you know what I'm saying, to have you a little view. But it's literally so small compared to what is already a small place, and being that whole area. It's just like, damn, bro, they really just bottled them in, and they surround them on all sides, man. It's so. But I don't really care, bro. I could have, as far as what's happening and the killing of civilians and children and all that, from what we're hearing, and them literally just trying to wipe them off the map. Yeah, I don't think anyone can agree with that. But I literally do not care about any one of those groups and what they have going on over there. We got enough problems here in America. You dig what I'm saying? So, but again, the BDS that Zoran speaks about, it's an initiative for them to claw back more of what they feel is rightfully theirs, and the Israeli people, obviously don't agree with it from what you see going on now. But it's not a kill all the Jews. From what I read, it's a nonviolent movement that's really to be done through treaties and agreements and what have you. You understand what I'm saying? Paperwork principles. But let Adam tell it. It's AKA kill all the Jews. And shout out to Karl Marx. Let him tell it.
What could go wrong here? It's not like we have countless examples of the problems that socialism and communism bring to the table. And then here's my final point. You see the numbers, and I'm sure we'll get into it, of Gen Z and college-educated Gen Z, college-educated female Gen Z who are voting for this in New York. And I'm saying this hypothetically, sarcastically, but almost literally. There's a big portion of Gen Z that needs to go to American re-education camps. And I know what that basically means, re-education camps. I'm not talking about, the really, really bad kind. But there's a whole segment of society that genuinely needs to be re-educated on what America is and what America is not.
So Adam seems to have an understanding of what America really is for everyone else. My experience as American is the viewpoint, is the lens that everyone should view it from, even though people that are not of Adam's characteristic traits, I should say physical traits, have a much, I mean, this show is evidence of it. They have a much different experience here in the United States of America. They have to deal with people with these kind of stances on television, in person, when they go in the store, this, that, and the third, when they driving their car. But his view of America is what people need to be sent back to re-education camps. I mean, the verbiage that Adam's talking about the Italian mobsters gone apparently murk something. Shout out to Karl Marx, kill all the Jews. Re-education camps. This is like, what are we? You know what they formerly called re-education camps. That's from back in the Nazi Germany days. Adam says, and then you know what's so crazy? It is so crazy, man, to see, and I don't guess I see a lot of them, but obviously a lot of white women voted a particular way. It is so crazy to see the way that their men talk about them. You know, white men think like white women are like the dumbest group of people to ever exist. If it was up to them, I don't think they would let women vote. College educated women need to be sent back. Bro, listen, do not let a person that has not taken a college course, do not let them tell you that college is not valuable. You know, you get a more well-rounded education. You get to you get to read about people. You get to look back in history. It's not like a private school approach where they teaching the thoughts of the community. You down south, these Commonwealth states, and they want to put the Ten Commandments back up in there. It's not a guided approach like that. It's a worldly approach to the world and your craft and what's happened before you from all parts of the map, all the angles. So if you were, it's impossible. It is impossible to go to college and become educated and come out with such a narrow view of the world. There's not many of these people you hear speaking about from things on the right side. It's not many of them with the college degree. And the fact that they're so popular and got so many dumb tards tuning in to them, they'll use that as fodder to say, you know, to bolster their appearance as to why you should tune in to them and take them as the smart people. Even though you be hard pressed to find someone that's gone to college that's a YouTube creator that needs a teleprompter to read off of.
And America is not Zoran Mamdani. You're telling me that a democratic socialist communist jihadist is going to be mayor of the epicenter of capitalism where Wall Street exists? This makes no sense. If you want to understand that you're living in bizarro world, this is it.
You know, Matt, Adam, and you made a great point, but the one thing I'm going to disagree with, you're saying that the establishment won't do this, they won't do that. You even answered your own question. You corrected yourself. That vote, that 25-year-old and older, I had a guy connect me that was like, Vinny, the older people, the rich people, we had this conversation, they're not, Adam, they don't even know what the hell's going on. Because those 25-year-olds that are watching AOC, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, that's that audience that he's getting, and he can win, Adam. I think he's going to win, okay? Because the older people, the really wealthy, Adam, that $123 billion, they're going to move. They're going to leave. That number's probably dropping right now. And you nailed it. He's a freaking communist. He aligns himself with the jihadists. There's a video of him where he will not denounce Sharia law. And that's a whole other conversation we'll get into. But you know what my thing is? Guys, let him win. Okay? I'm dead serious. Let the people who keep voting for this BS, just like California, let them feel it. Like Bernie Sanders says, let them feel the burn. Okay? You want this sympathizing jihadist, wannabe communist in charge of New York? Let them do it. Okay, let them flood the street with crime. Let the businesses collapse. Let the rats take over Times Square because that's what you're going to get. And to all the New Yorkers, keep doing it. You guys keep doing it. And every time they have somebody to oppose these freaking psychos, nobody does it. You know why? Because you're loyal to your party. It's freaking madness. And it's stupid, but good. Let them do it, Adam. Let them have it. But Adam, look at their pool. From the governor. Look, we had Cuomo. You have Kathy Hochul. You have freaking Mayor Adams. You have this freaking guy. No, they have nothing. They have zero. They have no leadership. And everybody that they pick is trying to destroy this freaking state. And mind you, I'm from Yonkers, New York, bro. They have destroyed New York. Okay, it was a city that never sleeps. It's a city that nobody gives a shit about anymore. It's flooded with illegals. Everybody's leaving. Let it happen, guys. Nothing's ever going to change unless you just let them go.
All the New Yorkers are going to leave New York because let these guys settle. They know the temperature of these people, and they're just going to up and leave New York for another state. But let it happen. Let them go into 4 years of dark ages, just like the people of California. It's so stupid, bro. They try to tell people what to think the same way that their teleprompters tell them what to think. Again, there are people that live in these states, man. If the things were as bad as you all make them out to be, then they wouldn't vote a particular way. A guy up in Wisconsin, Brian Schimmel, he lost a recent Supreme Court race to a one Susan Crawford. This Brian guy was highly endorsed by Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Out of there. The people of New York voted for Zohran Mamdani to be the candidate, to be the mayor. Despite what's staring them in the face and California not becoming empty, let them tell it. These are shithole states that no one wants to live in because we said so.
Let them go. And I love that Trump said, come ask me for money. See if you're going to get any freaking money at a federal level. I'm tired of this shit.
He's running on
I feel you. Can I just respond to Vinny real quick, Tom? Just real quick. I feel Vinny's pain on this. I feel Vinny's passion because there's a part of me that's like, let that shit happen.
Yes,
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Don't forget one thing. This is what's called a Democratic primary. When in primaries, just like it's the opposite of general election, the most hardcore people come out. It's like who votes in midterms? The most hardcore people, right? Who votes for representatives? The most hardcore people. There's a big difference in a general election. So if you're following what Bill Ackman says here, he says, give me your best centrist candidate. If there's one person, whether it's Eric Adams, whether it's Cuomo, whether someone else shows up, and it's one-on-one, Mamdani versus whoever that person may be, that person will win. If it's fractured and there's 3, 4, 5 people running against Mamdani, you're absolutely right. He may be the next mayor of New York, and we might see the official end of New York City.
Pat, do you think he's going to win? I have a feeling.
Well, let me tell you what's going on.
He's going to win.
We're in New York. Whether it's New York City, whether it's Hamptons, different beaches here. We're talking to a lot of people. You know what people are saying? Weirdest thing? Guys who sell real estate in New York. Yesterday, this guy named Jason, if you remember him.
I remember.
Right. Jason, no, his name is John.
Good guy.
This guy named John, right? You pulled him, Tom. When you shook his hand, you pulled him like a Trump.
Tom goes, what do you do in the world? The guy goes, I'm going to go fix my shoulder.
He did the Trump?
Tom went like this. I'm like, whoa,
Tom
relax.
trumped him.
So anyways, he said to me, he says, and another guy said, he says, isn't it weird that we are all rooting for Adams to win? He says, if you would have told me a year ago, 2 years ago, I'm going to be rooting for Adams to win, we're all now rooting for Adams to win. Because nobody wants this nut job. That's what people are saying in New York right now as we speak. And Adams, believe it or not, there's a part of Adams, the more I watch him, look, nobody, is perfect. People make a lot of different mistakes, different kinds of mistakes. And he was accused of that whole Turkey thing, $10 million, you know which one I'm talking about, investment, all that. Okay, fine. But to me, you know what Adams is going through? Realizing this party sucks.
Yep.
He's like, dude, this party sucks. What the hell am I doing with these guys? I was a guy that was a card-carrying member, and then this is what you're doing now? And I don't know if Adams was Democrat first before New York or New York first before party. I think to him is like, look, being a New Yorker is way more important than being a Democrat. I'm protecting the city is what I'm doing. And even when he speaks, he sounds like he's a New Yorker, right?
And the last time I jumped in, I failed to address the astounding statement from Vinny that, you people just cannot see the forest for the trees because you are loyal to your party. Is he listening to himself? Have you ever turned into Vinny at any time on the PBD broadcast. Yes, bunch of broads up there. Have you ever seen Vinny not be loyal to MAGA and spew the craziest talking points and bust a vein while doing it? But it was crazy that he could point that out. They can seem to look at the other side and have some very high level of thought processing. But when applied to themselves, it's just like, you dig what I'm saying? Now, you heard them go into touting one Eric Adams. Now, this is the same Eric Adams that a year ago when he was facing some adversities out here in these political streets, they wasn't doing him no favor. You dig what I'm saying? They was looking at him sideways, black man up there in New York, can't talk good and all that. This was their rhetoric back then. And then all of a sudden, I guess in a switch of affiliation, he started to affiliate himself with Donald Trump, or I guess kiss his feet. And, all of a sudden the charges went away. But we're going to let this here reporter here, Jake Tapper, ask him about it, and let Eric Adams give you a little background on what's going on with him in his political career.
Mayor Adams, welcome back to The Lead. So you're seeking a second term of mayor of New York. In March, a Quinnipiac poll found only 20% of registered voters in your city approved of your job, 67% disapproved. Now, that was taken at a time when you were still facing federal corruption charges that have since been dropped with prejudice. What is your message to New York voters and why you think you deserve another term?
Well, I think look at the numbers. When you allow New Yorkers to hear the real story of the success and the turnaround, developing more jobs in our individual senior years in the history of the city. In 3.5 years, we have ensured that we develop housing that's needed more than the previous two mayors combined. And then when you look at small business operating, the safety of the city, I ran on a public safety platform and we delivered on that. The last 6 months, we had the lowest number of shootings and homicide in recorded history of this city. I am going to be able to tell the real story of how we turned the city around.
Yeah, I want to talk about affordability in a second, but just to talk about this issue, obviously a lot of people wonder about. A lot of voters in New York have the impression that you entered into some sort of private deal with President Trump. His Justice Department would drop the charges against you, and then you would be helpful to him in other ways, including with immigration. What do you say to voters who look at the whole thing that went on, both with the allegations against you in the criminal complaint and then the deal with President Trump, and think, the whole thing just stinks? What do you say to them?
And so, here again, the cognitive dissonance, man, is amazing. So, Jake Tapper flashes the numbers. You see, there's 67% of individuals disapproved of the job that he was doing for New York and the citizens of the communities of said New York. Well, Eric Adams says, despite what the people are seeing in their communities, roads not being paved and crime not going down and rats still roaming the premises at will, despite what they see and what they live through, if they were allowed to hear me say that, no, that ain't what's really going on, if you would allow me to say it to them more, then that's despite what they see and what they live through, if you just allow me to say it more and show what I'm saying more, then that's the outlook they'll start to have. It's odd. Eric Adams speaks about a highly evolved New York where crime is down, building and communities have doubled what the previous two mayoral administrations had accomplished. Shit is peachy keen up there. Well, you let PBD and everybody else on the right tell it. New York is a shithole state. So which one is it? But now they back to riding with Eric Adams because, all right, well, we'll go with the black man. We didn't really care about him being around unless he was going to kiss Trump's boots. But we'll rock with him and we'll endorse him now that we got this ISIS man about to be the mayor of New York, even though they have nothing to do with New York. They don't live in New York. They don't contribute to the, the public funds of New York. their kids don't partake in the school systems of New York. They have nothing to do with New York. They just want to tell people in New York what to do and what to think. And now they gone back, get behind Eric Adams, who was pretty much found of taking up to, I think, like $10 million. But it went away when he threw his support behind Donald Trump, and like I said, through the immigration, because there's a lot of immigration in New York, so that'd be like ground zero. That'd be a place that a lot of ICE agents can raid and make, videos and good picture, good photo ops. You know what I'm saying? In the big state of New York, and so that's the baggage he has with him. But apparently, he's gonna run as an independent now and try to knock Mamdani out of the ring, and it's just wild, man, how they immediately just jumped on this thing and showed their hand. That is just basically racism, bro. The fact that this man is a Muslim. The other things they're saying about him not true. They're saying that he said on camera he was going to globalize the Intifada. You've seen no video proof of that. They keep saying there's video, several videos, and they're not. Even in this video, Eric Adams goes on to say that there's several videos out there, and Jake Tapper's like, bro, we hadn't seen them. Eric Adams tells Jake Tapper to do a little more research. In what world would Eric Adams and his team done more research and scouring the internet and seeing what the hot trending stories is around politicians? In what world would Eric Adams have done more research than the countless producers and employees at a place like CNN? It's crazy, bro. And listen to this man talk. How did he become the mayor? Like I said, bro, I ain't just ride with everything because it's black. I get his smoke to anybody. So I'm like, nigga, come on, bro. You sound like a crook. You don't even sound highly educated, but they elected the man. Look like they may elect somebody to take his place, but that's what we got going on. And I thought the PBD broadcast was just, it's just outrageous in their takes, but that's what they do every day, bro. And apparently they got like 2.65 million subscribers, and they do hundreds of thousands of views on, the absolute garbage that they upload every day. But that was my first opportunity to kind of jump on them, man, and I'll make them a part of my my viewing material going forward, and try to incorporate a little more from them, because they keep some stupid takes coming from over there. But until then, man, it's been just like that. I'm out.